Hello and welcome everyone back to Ruslan Bortnik YouTube channel in English. My name is James Talberg and we're back again with discussing the latest updates about Ukraine. Today we have the results or the outcomes of the negotiations between the United States and Ukraine. And I just want to read out the five main outcomes from these negotiations in Saudi Arabia. So the first one is that the United States and Ukraine have agreed to ensure safe navigation, eliminate the use of force, and prevent the use of commercial vessels for the military purposes in the Black Sea. The second, the United States and Ukraine agreed that the United States remains committed to helping achieve the exchange of prisoners of the war, the release of civilians detainees, and the return of forcibly transferred Ukrainian children. Third one, the United States and Ukraine agreed to develop measures for implementing President Trump's and President Zelensky's agreement to ban strikes against energy facilities of Russia and Ukraine. Fourth, the United States and Ukraine welcomed the good offices of third countries with a view towards supporting the implementation of the energy and maritime agreements. Last one is that the United States and Ukraine will continue working towards achieving a durable and lasting peace. I'm here today with Ruslan Bortnik, the political expert and the director of Ukrainian Institute of Politics, going to discuss that document and the outcomes of the negotiations, how positive they are, or if that's a good start for a long-lasting peace that they're mentioning in the last outcome of this negotiation. Ruslan, what do you make of those outcomes and how do you view them in general?
Hello, James. Thank you for your invitation, but I'm afraid that you need to read one more
I've missed
statement.
one.
No, just during your speech, the new statement on the United States-Russian negotiation also was published by the White House. So we can also add the information from that statement. I put it on the screen, if you see. If
Yes, so
you
this is the outcome of the negotiation between the United States and Russia.
and Russia, yes, it's a alter ego toward to Ukrainian United States negotiation. So please also, if you may, please also add the points from this statement.
Just give me a second. Would you be able to send it to me as a text message so I'll open it on a bigger screen for
Okay,
myself?
of course, no problem. I will add you to the like a text message. Uh, we are working on the ground from the wheels just now, and okay, it's something wrong with me with my technique. So I will help you, James, and I will read the United States Russian outcomes from the negotiation, which also is I want to emphasize that this is a United States position, official position. It's a statement of the White House on the negotiation between the United States and Russia in Saudi Arabia during the March 23-25. The main points uh, of this statement: the United States and Russia have agreed to ensure safe navigation, eliminate the use of force, and prevent the use of commercial vessels for military purposes in Black Sea. The United States will help restore Russia's access to the world market for agriculture and fertilizer export, lower maritime
Maritime insurance costs.
insurance. Yes, its quality is not very good, and my view is
Yeah,
also
it's a little bit blurry on the screen. Yeah.
yeah, and enhance access to ports and payment system for such transactions. The United States and Russia agreed to develop measures for implementing President Trump's and President Putin's agreement to ban strikes against energy facilities of Russia and Ukraine, the United States and Russia welcome the good offices of third countries which with a view towards supporting the implementation of energy and maritime agreements. The United States and Russia will continue working toward achieving durable and lasting peace. That's the main part what we have for nowadays. Of course, there are a lot of commons in both statements, and these statements are prepared from the United States side. We are waiting for a Russian statement and Ukrainian statement at this time, because as we know from our previous experience, there may be different contradictions and differences in such statements, like it was before many times. But what we can say immediately at this moment, that everything is working, yeah.
Yeah, all works. Yeah.
That both sides, it was a kind of this triangle and diplomacy, and it looks like the three sides or three countries, Ukraine, United States, and Russia, agreed some maybe agreed some positions on the ceasefire in Black Sea. We are talking about that there is a common statements on that the commercial vessels in the Black Sea will be untouchable from the military sides, but at the same time the commercial vessels will not be used for the military purpose. So because it was a Russian alerts, Russia said a lot that Ukraine is using the commercial vessels to military supplies and so on. And Ukraine claimed that Russia is attacking a lot of Ukrainian commercial vessels. Many of them were a part of agricultural deal of Ukrainian agricultural export, which is very vitable for the many countries in the world, especially in Africa and especially in Asia. So it was also an international problem. And I want to remind our viewers that Ukraine and Russia, even during the war, had a so-called grain deal from 2022 till 2023, which this deal led Ukrainian to export more than 3 billion tons of agricultural production and earn a few billion, not billions, but
more.
Even in much more. We are talking about 30, maybe even 40 billions of United States dollars during all the time of agriculture export. So it was very useful till the time when the level of distrust between the sides in the middle of 2023 reached such a high position that this export, this grain deal was not prolonged in 2023. But even after the ending of this grain deal, Ukraine continued to agricultural export, but the problem was that Russia made a lot of strikes of the seaports, infrastructure, and many of international ships were also damaged in Ukrainian ports. So this Ukrainian agricultural export became very dangerous and very expensive if we're talking about the maritime
the insurance cost,
and it became less beneficial for Ukraine. So it looks like the sides, Ukraine and Russia, with the mediation of United States, agreed to restart the agricultural export from seaports, but it means for the Black Sea ports, but it means also a restart of Russian agricultural export from the ports of Crimea, and it means also the a deep United States concessions towards Russia. I'm talking about that United States promised to Russia to help Russia to be back on the agricultural market, and also market with a special chemical things for rising the plants and so on, for so-called fertilizers.
Fertilizers, yeah.
Yes, agricultural. It means that the United States may lift a lot of sanctions on the Russian ships and insurance for ships, Russian bank system. And we are talking about Russian agricultural bank, for example. They have a special bank for such issues. And we are, maybe we are, now we are witnesses of step-by-step lifting the sanctions. But we need to understand this. We are discussing only statements. Let's see a deal. Let's see a agreement. Let's see a exact document which should be signed by the or by all the sides, and it's much harder to achieve such a document than to find some verbal agreement during the negotiation. So let's see the document, but maybe this maritime ceasefire or Black Sea ceasefire could be a good example of schedule step-by-step freezing the conflict. And from Ukrainian side, it's also a remarkable dangerous that this agreement is opening the window to lifting the sanctions, different type of economical sanctions against Russia from United States and Western countries.
Ruslan, what's interesting for me, I think, what I'm trying to understand here is that from the proposition to achieve a general ceasefire for 30 days, because that's how I remember that the Americans have proposed a general ceasefire, like at the front line, at the maritime, with the missiles and airstrikes attacks. And now we see that apparently that didn't work because we're now discussing only specific parts of the ceasefire, the maritime and the energy ceasefire. Why did we move from pushing on general ceasefire to pause the war as is on all the levels into very specific niche?
This when we're talking about the energy ceasefire, also there is no even a common position. It looks like from United States statements there is no common position between the sides, and they made a decision to find to develop measures to develop a agreement in the future about the possible energy ceasefire. Not now. Now it doesn't look that they have a very common position on this topic. Why we see such a step back in discussion about
ceasefire? Yeah, exactly.
Ceasefire?
It's like a step down. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like the level of trust between the sides is so low, is so under the bottom that it's impossible to find the solutions and find the measures, find the tools of on the full ceasefire and on the investigation, on the researching the methods of fulfilling this ceasefire. So the sides made the steps, are trying to make some steps from the easiest things, which, for example, it's very easy to investigate, to look on the fulfillment of ceasefire in the Black Sea because of United States abilities in intelligence, in the satellites and satellites, sorry, and so on. But it's very hard to find the trust if we are talking about the general ceasefire in the battlefields, somewhere in the fields and forests, in trenches and so on. It's very hard to find who is broken this ceasefire, who is broken the rules and agreements. So sides are trying to start from the easiest way. Maybe it's not the correct from the behaving position or from the studying position, because my teachers said me when I was a school people, just start your work from the hardest thing and then to go to the easiest.
To easiest, yeah,
yes,
that's correct.
Yes, but the situation is very difficult on the Ukrainian front, and we are looking, we are seeing that both the sides of the conflict starting from quite opposite way. So I think if this agreement will be reached, and if the sides will sign that agreement on the maritime ceasefire and energy infrastructure ceasefire, it will be a big success of Trump's administration and personally him. But it will be very hard to keep this ceasefire fulfilled all the time, because I'm sure that there are a lot of forces, peoples, or group of peoples, which will try to broke, to humiliate, to scam this ceasefire. In any case, in any tools, and if these ceasefires, energy and maritime, will be fulfilled, maybe after some time, after 30 days or even less, we will start the negotiation about the general ceasefire in the war, about the battlefield ceasefire. It's very important step. It's very important negotiation. It happened in Saudi Arabia. I want to remind that the lasting of Russian United States negotiation was about 12 hours. Negotiation between Ukraine and the United States was in 2 rounds, in Sunday, and today it was repeated again after the negotiation with Russian delegation. So it's very technical, it's very tough and very hard process, and United States made a lot of work to achieve even this level of preliminary agreement between the sides.
Ruslan, now if we move into the situation directly on the front line, we haven't discussed what has happened in the Kursk region. It looks like the Ukrainian forces are either prepping or mostly have left that region. What do we have in the Kursk region? I want to break it down into small details in terms of what was achieved, what wasn't achieved, what was the initial plan, and what is happening at the front line right now.
Ukraine almost lost its presence in Kursk region. Now Ukraine is controlling only 77 square kilometers of Kursk region. It's almost the same, maybe almost the same, which Russia is controlling in Ukrainian territory of Sumskaya Oblast, 60, maybe 65 kilometers. And it's a gray zone which is marked in Ukrainian deep state map. But there is a significant risk that the Russian forces are in Ukrainian lands in this gray zone. Also, Ukraine tried to start a new offensive operation in the Belgorod direction near the Demidovka, Miropolska. You see this gray zone here is.
Yep.
This gray zone, and it looks like Ukrainian forces captured some lands near 13 square kilometers, but it doesn't look that it was very successful. and such successful like it was in Sudzha direction, Kursk direction in previous time. So Ukraine lost almost all settlements in Kursk direction, only 3 small villages under the possible Ukrainian control, and this factor in the possible negotiation between Ukraine is Russia expired, and Ukraine, it doesn't look like Ukraine will be able to use this presence in Russian lands like a negotiating factor or to change these territories for some Ukrainian territories. I think Ukrainian government lost very important time during the 8 months when Ukrainian forces were able to keep these territories. They lost this time, which Ukraine could use for starting negotiation process and for achieving some common concessions, common compromises on the Ukrainian lands with Russian territories. So, moreover, if we are talking about the situation in this Sumy-Kursk direction, if Russian forces will be able to fully enter in Sumskaya Oblast of Ukraine, it will be a serious political and military crisis for Ukrainian government, because there is only 30 kilometers from Russian positions to the Ukrainian regional center Sumy, and this offensive operation is restarting like a defensive operation for Ukrainian forces just now, and we don't know how to go out from this military crisis.
So the main reason for the Kursk operation was to have a card that the Ukrainian government could have potentially used for an exchange between Russia and Ukraine for land.
To have a Trump. To have a Trump for negotiation. Yes, and Ukrainian forces made the best what they could, but now Ukraine doesn't have this card.
So basically, Ukraine has lost it. So we can say that the operation in the Kursk region haven't successfully ended for the Ukrainian side.
Yeah, and moreover, we remember that during the Kursk operation, on which Ukraine used our best forces, Ukraine also lost a lot of cities and villages in Donbass. We are talking about losing thousands of square kilometers of Ukrainian lands, especially in Avdiivka direction.
On the east side.
On the east, in the time of
Kursk operation.
Kursk operation, yeah. So this change, I think, was not successful for Ukraine in military and political terms.
What is happening right now on the east side in terms of the situation on the ground? Are the Russian forces still advancing in a slow pace, or the Ukrainian forces were able to stabilize the situation in the east-south front?
We are looking at a very changeable situation at this time, and we on some directions we have a Russian offensive operation, on some other directions we have Ukrainian counter-offensive operation. You see this blue spots?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
yes,
that's a counter-offensive operation from the Ukrainian side.
Ukrainian forces, and they captured some small parts of Ukrainian lands. But at the same time, Russia is continuing her offensive operation in western Kurahovo and in the region of Большая Novoselovka. Moreover, Russia started the new offensive operation in Zaporizhia direction. You can see this red part, it's captured by Russia lands only for today, for the last 24 hours. Russian forces are trying to reach closer to the very important Ukrainian city Zaporizhia. It's an industrial center of Ukraine, which is inhabited at least 500,000 of people, and only 30 kilometers till the battlefield line. And if Russia will be able to move closer to the city, to the distance of shelling from the field artillery, it will be a significant humanitarian and political crisis for Ukraine. Russia started this operation a week ago and continues this operation, and we can see how a situation is changed during the last week in this direction. From positions in southern then Petikhatki, Russia now captured that a part of lands, and even during the Russian claims captured these small villages, Malaya, Sherbaki, Stepovoye, and others. So there is a political military crisis. Maybe Russia started a new offensive operation in this direction. The goal of this operation is achieving or a trade about the future of Zaporizhia, because many sources which is taking part or leaking the information from the negotiation process are saying that Russia is demanding to give the Russia Zaporizhia, which is the regional center of Zaporizhia Oblast, which is for 75% captured by Russian forces, and is demanding the Kherson, which is also the formal administrative center of Khersonska Oblast, which is captured by Russian forces for 70% for nowadays. So this behind the scenes discussion about the political future of these two big administrative centers, regional centers, and cities of Ukraine, also pushing Russia to the new offensive operation toward these cities, to show Russian abilities to capture these cities in the future, if the peaceful agreement will not be achieved in the future. In general, the last number I want to say, now Russia is controlling 112,453 square kilometers of Ukrainian lands, and in the beginning of the week, Russia controlled and Russia controlled near the for 50 kilometers less, so square kilometers less. So the Russian move is not very fast. But even in this situation of absence, a big Russian offensive operation, Ukraine is losing lands every week.
Ruslan, I would like to dig deeper a little bit into the two situations on the front line. First is the Donbass region. I remember last year we were discussing the information that we were receiving from Germany, either their analysis agencies or intellectual agencies. They were saying that Russia is most likely going to capture Donbass fully by mid-2025. Is that still the case, or with their slow movement, it's not going to be achieved by the mid-2025?
I think this is the primary goal of Russian Federation. But for this moment, Russia is controlling even near 99% of Lugansk Oblast. Donbass, it's a two Ukrainian oblasts, two Ukrainian region, Donetsk and Lugansk oblasts. And Russia is controlling 99% of Lugansk Oblast, and Russia is controlling near 65-70% of Donetsk Oblast, not in general.
So two-thirds.
Yes, a huge agglomeration of cities starting from Slovyansk and Kramatorsk and in the Pokrovsk is still under Ukrainian control. It's a part of Donetsk Oblast. Here is. And of course, it's a primary Russian goal. But these cities are very good settled and defended, very good prepared for defense. And it will be very hard for Russian forces to achieve them fast. But I want to remind also Russia included to its constitution Khersonska and Zaporizhia Oblast. And
that's my next question.
Yeah, and that's a Russian second goal. But from military side, it's much easier to have a offensive operation in the Kherson or Zaporizhia direction because of absence of a big settlements of cities and because of flat lands. It's a specific of nature or in that region. We have flat lands with a low level of urbanization, with a low level of force and so on. So it's very hard. It's much harder to defend these lands.
So if I understand the situation correctly, Donbass is their goal number one. It's less likely to happen by mid-2025 unless something happens. And in terms of the Zaporizhia and Kherson, this is something that their negotiation behind closed doors that is not public, that they want Ukraine to give up these two regions because Russia has added them to their constitution. Is that the case?
Yeah, absolutely. And they are marked on the map. The number two, it's a part of Zaporizhia Oblast, which is under the control of Ukrainian forces, which is also the goal number two, I think, in the left bank of Dnieper River. But also, I want to remind that Russia is controlling a big part of Kharkivska Oblast. For nowadays, we are talking about maybe 10, even 12% of entire territory of Kharkivska Oblast in this direction. In this direction, Russia is controlling part of Kharkivska Oblast, and Russia is very close to the borders of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Here are the borders. You can see how it is
Yeah.
close to the battlefield, and Russia is also in the territory of Sumy Oblast. So the first goal is Kramatorsk, Slavyansk, Pokrovsk agglomerations. Second goal maybe Zaporizhia, or even and the third goal, of course, it's a part of territory of Khersonska Oblast, which also was a land of so-called Russian referendum.
Yeah.
And Russia is also demanding these territories on the right bank of Dnieper River. So the discussion about the political frame of the future peaceful negotiation will be very hard. We can see how hard and how strict and how difficult for the sides even to find some common, if we're talking the maritime ceasefire or the energy ceasefire. Just imagine how it will be harder to find the final agreement.
So let's discuss that final agreement because it's very interesting now if we're going to connect all the situations in just one basket. So from one perspective, we have the current outcomes of the negotiations between the United States, Ukraine, between the United States and Russia, which are basically focused on very small details in regards to the maritime, in regards to the agriculture, in regards to lifting some sanctions from Russia. Just like you mentioned, it's very small, minor, that it's easier to control, monitor, and negotiate. So they can find some common ground between the three, the Ukraine, Russia, and the United States, in regards to the agriculture and maritime. But now, when they're talking about this, the final outcome of these negotiations, I'll just read it out again, that was identical between Ukraine and Russia, is that the United States and Ukraine will continue working toward achieving a durable and lasting peace. The same thing was in regards to Russia. It was just, instead of Ukraine, it was saying the United States and Russia will continue working toward achieving a durable and lasting peace. Now, my question is, how do you achieve a durable and lasting peace if it's hard to negotiate small details in regards to the maritime sanctions and in that department when we have such big different positions on the front line? Russia is demanding to take over Zaporizhia and Kherson because they have added them to their constitution. They're also controlling, as you draw before on the map, parts of the Kharkivska Oblast. What can be done there? How can they negotiate? How these negotiations will even look like when it comes to figuring out the solution for the land? I mean, like, I would say we can simply say that Ukraine can give up on Kherson and Zaporizhia. In return, they will take off Kharkivska Oblast. But this is something that Ukrainians will never go for. This is a very painful scenario for the Ukrainians to even discuss giving up certain parts of the land. or you think that can be potentially somehow split, like Russia can stay wherever they are in terms of the front line, Ukraine can stay wherever they are in terms of the front line? Like, it just looks so complex to me when it comes to negotiating these things versus, the maritime and agricultures and sanctions.
Let's look at this situation in more simply way. We have two countries and 5 regions of which are included in constitutions of both countries.
Yeah, Ukraine and Russia. Yeah.
Yeah. Khersonska, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Lugansk Oblast, and Republic of Crimea are included in Ukrainian constitution and in Russian constitution. So if we are talking about the future peaceful deal and long-lasting peace, we need to change somebody's constitution. We need to rebuild one of these states. Or we need a very huge power just to concrete this situation on the power. But such power is absent in the situation with Russia. We are talking about the nuclear power state. And of course, United States are trying to seal this this situation, just to push down, to ceasefire, to call down this situation. But I don't believe that it is possible to achieve a long-lasting peace without the new geopolitical balance in the region. We are talking about the security balance between Russia and West, security guarantees possible for existence of Ukraine, and there is no impossible to achieve a long-lasting peace without rebuilding one of the side of the conflict with amendments to the constitution of that side. We can only freeze this conflict. We can postpone this conflict to the future. We can make some gap on continuation of this conflict for some times till the end of presidential term of Trump. But even this will be very hard, very hard. Moreover, I had a hope that Trump will start from general things. Trump will start from the geopolitical balance, from the
which haven't happened.
Yes, from nuclear weapon, from missiles, from everything, from rebuilding this region and this situation. But it doesn't look so. It haven't happened. And if we are talking this schedule or step-by-step ceasefire which Trump is proposed, it's a very hard, very long way without any guarantees of success on it. Moreover, I want to say that from this side, even Minsk agreement between Ukraine and Russia, which
more generic,
which existed from 2014 till 2022, looks more specified, looks more wittable for now, because there was a strong ceasefire which stated 20 times. There was an exact document with a new political balance on Ukraine and the relations between the Russia and Ukraine. And there was a decision of a Security Council of United Nations on it. There was a very, very, very strong, very famous international mediators in this process. We are talking about France and Germany. And even this situation, the war came to Ukraine, to Russia. The war happened again. So I see on this peaceful negotiation under the Trump administration with a very big skepticism, because I'm sure if you will start from the smaller things, it will be very hard to achieve the big one, to assemble from the smaller things, to assemble the general peace figure,
to assemble the durable and lasting peace that they have mentioned in the fifth statement.
I'm partially disappointed, but at the same time I think the United States and Trump's administration, they are making a very important steps because it's much better than.
It's better than nothing. I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Ruslan, I want to be extremely honest now with people that are watching us and to break down that situation again. To solve that conflict, they have to start from bigger things. Like you said, they have to build a new geopolitical balance between Russia
Yes,
and the West.
this war started from Russian claims towards NATO and United States on the wider in on the developing the NATO or on Ukraine. But we are talking about very small things, very important but very small things.
Small details, yeah, that like they should have been final details in terms of like the bigger geopolitical change to transform into a new balance. So because they're not focusing on changing that geopolitical situation to transform it into something that everybody's going to be happy, the West, Russia, and the United States. Instead, they're focusing on these little details like maritime ceasefire, energy ceasefire, potential lift on certain sanctions from the Russian Agriculture Bank. That means that the more they focus on that, the further away we are from a long-lasting peace.
I can say this. I can say that the longest way are ahead of us. And the more obstacles and the dialogues and discussions and negotiation will be ahead of us. So it doesn't mean that the peace is becoming somewhere longer, farther in the future. It doesn't mean, but it means that this approach needs much more.
Will take it longer.
Yes, and it needs much more power and at work to achieve the success.
But why do you think Trump administration have took that approach in that direction? Why haven't they went ahead and started negotiating with Russia the transformation on that geopolitical situation to actually achieve that long-lasting, durable peace? Why they have they didn't take that direction, but instead they went into negotiating those little details and those small situations in regards to the maritime energy?
I think because of two reasons. The first reason, they are choosing the easiest way. They need a very fast success. Very fast success. They need to show something for the society, any success. And the other reason, the reason of the goal of the United States, of the task of the United States in this war. I think the general goal of the Trump administration in this war is ceasefire, is not the peaceful agreement, is to stop the war like in Korean Peninsula or something like this, is not to find the general solution of this war. It looks like they believe that it's too hard to find the general solution in this war. And they are looking for ceasefire. It will be enough for Trump's administration for the next few years to show the success, to achieve the Nobel Prize, and so on. What will happen after the ending of ceasefire? It will be a problem, maybe another United States president and another United States administration. They are looking ceasefire. It will be quite enough for them to achieve only a stable ceasefire.
So we can say that that's their goal, to achieve a long-lasting ceasefire, not a long-lasting peace.
Because long-lasting peace demands a very harsh new geopolitical, geoeconomical balance, not only with Russia, but also with China. United States is not ready to build such a frame, geopolitical frame right now. United States are trying to concentrate in internal issues and on resolving the main internal problems.
Ruslan, is there anything else that you think that is important to mention? I think we have
I think,
covered.
yeah, I think we will cover it in the next hour episode of in the next hour podcast. Thank you very much, James, for such a great questions.
Thank you, Ruslan. Friends, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us some comments if there is any topic or any question that you have. Let us know, and we might include it into our next discussion. Thank you again, and we'll be back next week with more updates about the situation between Ukraine and Russia, between Ukraine and the United States, and in general, how far we are from the peace. Thank you again.
See you.